everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Sound Ideas Season 2, the podcast, or I guess talk show, where we talk about Kingdom Hearts music with a bunch of other people. So, yeah. Today is, as I said, the second episode. The first episode, which was last week, we were joined by David Russell, also known as Green Requiem. And we talked about the Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary stuff. We talked about March Caprice. And we talked about our own personal project. So yeah, woohoo! I'm glad to see I've got the early birds are already here. So always good to see you guys. Hello, Got Vodka. Hello, Ava. Hello, Cheney. So yeah, a couple of things I wanted to talk about before we really get into it. So I haven't really introduced myself very well, I think. Nonetheless, I mean, I did talk a lot about my projects, but I feel like I should probably introduce myself again in case there's any new viewers today. So I'm Keynote. I make a lot of Kingdom Hearts music-related content, such as covers, video essays, and music analysis. And I was also part of the March Caprice event as an organizer and collaborator. So that whole thing was really, really fun. And yeah, so... another thing, since I'm really kind of new to this whole streaming thing, today is the first time that we have some background music going on the stream, so let me know if that's working fine, if the volume is okay. If there's any issues, please let me know so I can fix it on the fly. Another thing, right now I am at the 50 followers mark on Twitch, which means I am now eligible for being a, what was it again? Not a partner, the affiliate. But for that, I need to have a certain amount of streaming time and, you know, anyway, but before I am actually an affiliate, I need, I can't have subs and I can't have donations. So I will have to wait until that happens before I can actually start using this little sub box here. But when that happens, I will be very, very happy because I need to take whatever I can get when it comes to support. But for now, if you guys would like to support me, I do have a Ko-Fi where I accept donations, and I also take commissions for Twitch overlays, for thumbnails, and I also make custom prismatic melodies, which is what I call the little heartless guys that we have on the show. So yeah, thanks on the congrats. And what else did I have to say before getting started? I think that's about it. So alright, so today on episode 2, I'm actually joined by a new guest who I haven't had on the show yet, and someone that I've been meaning to talk to for a while because I found their content really good, really interesting, and really underrated, honestly. So I'm very, very glad to be able to, you know, have a little talk with them. And he is Faux Retro. Welcome to the show. How you doing? Awesome, awesome. So tell us a little bit about blah, blah, blah. I am already stumbling on my words. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Decided to start producing content for YouTube a few years ago. I've been working in radio, television, film for a little while, and I kind of needed a way to stay creative, basically. So I was like, you know what, I can start doing stuff for YouTube. So I kind of run the gamut with doing various things like video essays. I've done 2 feature-length documentaries now, and also kind of your typical video game reviews online. And yeah, just kind of love talking about games, talking about the art form of games, and trying to get people more, especially like the essays and things, having people learn more about weirder parts of the video game industry or video game franchises and kind of look deeper at them instead of just surface level appreciation, if that makes sense.
Right. So I think I found your channel from those videos about the Avatar video games. I think you posted one video about that. And then I found the video about the Pokemon musical, which I found was really, really good, really well produced, and really well written script. Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you.
So yeah, and I definitely recommend that anyone watching this checks out Fo's channel later. I will Damn it, I forgot how. I don't know how to do string commands yet, so I would have set up a command for all of Fo's social media, but unfortunately I do not know how to do that. But he is pretty much Fo Retro on everything,
Yeah. Yeah,
YouTube,
I'm
Twitter.
youtube.com/faux retro, and I'm faux_retro on Twitter because the other one was taken.
Perfect. So yeah, and recently you posted two videos about Kingdom Hearts as well. One was about
Mhm.
the storytelling, and the most recent one that you posted just a couple of days ago was about the music. So that was a very big surprise for me because I knew you were working on a new Kingdom Hearts video, but I had no idea it was going to be about the music. So it was a very, very neat little surprise. But I wanted to ask you why exactly, like, why Kingdom Hearts? Why do you have this interest in Kingdom Hearts, and why did you have this specific interest on making this video about the music of Kingdom Hearts as well?
King. My story with Kingdom Hearts is that my brother got a PS2 for his birthday in September of 2002, and I was allowed to get a game as well. And that game, it turns out to be Kingdom Hearts because I still have a very distinct memory, and I know the commercials on YouTube. I've seen it 1,000 times now, but I remember seeing a commercial for the original game on TV, and I was a Disney kid. I love Disney. Everyone has like their little thing they grow up with. I feel like as their little kid, be it Thomas the Tank Engine or like JJ the Jet Plane. If anyone remembers JJ the Jet Plane, Teletubbies. My thing was Winnie the Pooh, so I was kind of always in Disney. I was always a Disney kid, I guess. So Kingdom Hearts, I saw all the Disney characters in the commercial. I wanted to play that. And so when my brother got his PS2, he got the Spider-Man movie game with Tobey Maguire, and I got Kingdom Hearts, and so I've basically have adored the series ever since. And
That's awesome.
with yeah, and with talking about the music of Kingdom Hearts, I've always adored the music of Kingdom Hearts. I've always loved music in general. I don't profess to be an expert on it, or I've never taken a music theory course or things like that. I
Hmm.
mostly know music through the function of it through in media, be it like in a movie or in a video game or a TV show. That's my area of like understanding when it comes to music. And so I've always adored Kingdom Hearts, and I actually have always had videos planned to talk about Kingdom Hearts. Haven't gotten to those yet, but one of them was involving music, and I just kind of decided, you know what, I kind of wanted to talk about it earlier. So, it's where this video came about, the one that just came out on Friday.
Cool. That's really cool. Um, so why, like, I get that, like, so you had this, um, you were drawn to like Disney stuff and Disney games
Mm.
and retro games in general, like from an early age. Um, but and you say that you've always had this fascination for Kingdom Hearts music,
Mm.
from more like a media analysis
Yeah.
sort of perspective, right?
Yeah, well, later in life, obviously, when I was a little kid, I wasn't like
Right.
analyzing leitmotifs and things, but like, I just always loved the music. Like, the very first thing I ever got on eBay was the soundtrack for the original Kingdom Hearts game.
Wow, that's
For
really
example,
cool.
always loved it. I still have that CD somewhere.
I wonder, like, why you, like, do you know why exactly, out of all the, well, I don't know if it's like your favorite soundtrack or anything, but why do you think Kingdom Hearts has this, like, this ability to draw people with its music? Why do you think its music is so memorable and so effective at what it does, in your opinion?
I think the music kind of is so effective in the same way Kingdom Hearts is so effective and how weird it is. And I don't think the music is weird, just that like it's a combo of Disney, which is so well known for its music since its beginning from like the original silent cartoons or whatever. Um, it's like the combination of that Disney music that everyone knows. Like everyone, most people I would say knows like the music from Beauty and the Beast, or just
Mhm.
even to go back to like the Winnie the Pooh songs the Sherman Brothers did back in those original Disney cartoons. It's a combo of that and then like these grand orchestrations and really big fantasy music because that comes from the Final Fantasy side. Because Final Fantasy has always been like one of the cornerstones of Final Fantasy has always been like its presentation. It's like either it has they're always trying to say like this new Final Fantasy has the best visuals we can do, it has the best sound we can do. It's always been about presentation. So like the merging of that like grand ideal of Final Fantasy music with the nostalgia and the family friendliness and the recognizability of Disney music put together just kind of makes it so earwormy and very easy to listen to. I hope that answered the question. I feel like I went on a tangent.
No, yeah, that was a really interesting answer. And it kind of ties into one of the things that I think you brought up on your video as well, which is like how it really works, like how Kingdom Hearts' music really captures the Disney vibe. It captures like the Disney worlds. It just fits with being like Disney, and that's a really
So wholly
interesting
original
point.
too.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like, sorry if I'm sorry if I talked over you. There's a little bit of a delay.
No, that was me. That was me.
But yeah, there's like, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
I
Um,
apologize.
no, no worries. That wasn't you. There is like this original score for the Disney worlds, and like that's a point that I haven't really seen be brought up that often when talking about Kingdom Hearts, because I feel like a lot of people, including me, really focus on the more like the Final Fantasy ish aspect of it, you know, the original stuff, the original music, the original characters, the original locations, and the music for those original elements. But not there isn't a ton of attention and importance given to how the music is like fitting with this already established content, the Disney content, right? Which is a really like high bar to hit, you know, as Shimomura or any other composer who had to work for to create music for these Disney settings. They have a really big responsibility to make sure it fits the source material and that it doesn't feel out of place. And considering that the music for those franchises and those properties is so like memorable on itself and so important, like it's kind of like tinkering with that a little bit. You know, you're kind of, you have to make sure that it doesn't break the already established image for those movies, right? And I
I
think
can't even imagine how formidable it is too, because like
yeah,
you're touching the scores of like the Sherman Brothers, Alan Menken, like you're touching these like really really big deal people, and I don't know, it's just kind of amazing to me. It's such a tightrope to walk, I think.
right. And I think like Shimomura especially, as the main composer for the series, she really found a way to walk that tightrope, and like not stumble at all. I feel like she aces every single Disney movie that she composes for, or Disney World that she composes for. But also doesn't really rely a lot on the source material. It's like, at least it seems to me that for very like very iconic soundtracks, she does sometimes like borrow from them, like the Nightmare Before Christmas or The Little Mermaid, or even Toy Story, or even Pirates of the Caribbean, because those soundtracks are really that iconic. But I can't imagine, like I can't really tell if her relying on those soundtracks was her choice or more of a direction from higher up, you know, from
Yeah.
like a company kind of perspective of that.
I'm sure it's like a mixture of a lot of things, because I'm sure honestly, I maybe with Kingdom Hearts 3 I could definitely see Kingdom Hearts 3 being like, because I think like Disney, the impression is that Disney was more involved with Kingdom Hearts 3 than previous titles. I don't know the accuracy of that, but that's the impression it gave for a myriad of reasons. But I feel like I'm willing to bet early on it was just them saying, okay, so this is the world for Tarzan, and we need to evoke Tarzan and make your own thing. So I feel like there's always a desire to kind of pay homage in some form to those movies, be it to like echo different little beats from songs. Like This Is Halloween definitely shows up throughout the music in the Nightmare Before Christmas worlds and things like that. But I think because I think it all just comes down to this: we're recreating these Disney worlds. We want to make them feel like you're in that Disney world, so then the music kind of has to follow suit, but still be its own thing, which is so much. I can't even imagine the the intimidation factor of it all, honestly.
Yeah, it really is just like a very I don't know, like it's just they do such a great job. I think overall it's just kind of like almost flawless like amount of work. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions while we're talking about the world tracks and even the character tracks. I have three questions that I want to ask you first, and then a couple of questions I want to ask you afterwards.
Sure.
So the first three are, if you could pick from the Kingdom Hearts series one character theme to be like your character theme, one battle theme to be your battle theme, and one field theme or like world theme that you just like that would play wherever you walked, basically. That would be the
Gotcha.
soundtrack to your life. What do you think those would be, and why?
Okay, so character theme, battle theme, world theme, field theme.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what character theme would be me aspirationally. I think it would be Sora's. I guess I would say it's not the direct answer to the question, but Sora's like the hero. He's the protagonist. His theme is so triumphant. It's always so triumphant. I think it's kind of like that's the word I think of whenever I hear it. So to have like that confidence that music kind of portrays, and that kind of adventurous sensibility, I kind of wish I had more of. So I think that would be the one I would want to have. I don't know which one would actually be me. I don't want to be sad. So, gosh, I'll have to think about that. Might have to circle back on that.
All right.
Battle theme. So it's like what I most relate to, or just like what one of my favorites, or what was it exactly? Sorry.
Whatever you want, basically. I was thinking like if you were a boss battle or something, like what would play for your boss battle. But it can be
And the
whatever you
Kingdom Hearts
prefer.
music.
Yeah.
Shoot. If boss battle for me, I kind of lean towards Shion's theme that plays the version of it that plays in Remind.
Ooh, cool. Okay.
I think that because her theme has so many levels to it, and it's very like the baseline is that it's so sad and so tragic, really, but kind of and this kind of echoes the Hearts as One theme that plays when it blends her and Roxas's themes in 3 as well.
Right.
There's a strong-willed like energy to it, the more battle themed version of it from her, which I think I kind of identify with. Kind of it's like the idea of persevering through hardship and whatever difficulty you have. I think I kind of identify with that. I think it's kind of a inspirational piece then when you think about it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, field music. Oh gosh. Honestly, I've said already that I was like a Winnie the Pooh child. I'll go with 100 Acre Wood because
You know what? Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it's like because like Winnie the Pooh, I could go on a tangent about Winnie the Pooh. It's annoying. It's very much about innocence and kindness and purity. To not be too cheesy, but but I'm always someone, especially where who I am now. I'm always someone who's always trying to look on the positive side of things and look on the optimistic side of things rather than getting cynical and like wasting negative thoughts and negative energy for silly things. Like you won't catch me like hating on random things from Kingdom Hearts Online in like an actual serious manner because I adore it, but it's just a video game. Why waste that energy on that? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think I would go with the Winnie the Pooh music because I think kind of has those qualities to it.
That's okay. That makes a lot of sense. I'm very I don't know. I guess I'm biased, but I really like the answer for the battle theme because I don't know if you know this, but Vector to the Heavens is my absolute favorite piece of music in the world, and that counts. Yeah, that counts for pretty much every version of it, official or fan made. I'm just kind of obsessed with it, and I do.
It's so well done.
Yeah, like. Every version of it is just I could geek out about Vector to Heavens forever. I kind of do that on every episode.
Yeah, it's a partial. The video the musical Power of Kingdom Hearts video ends with Vector to the Heavens for extremely on purpose reasons.
Oh yeah,
It's
I noticed.
So
It ended with the memorial arrangement, and I was like, "Yep, that's the one. That's the one." But I really like your justification for it as well. That especially like for Hearts as One. And I think you also talk a little about this on your video, the most recent one, about like how it kind of brings like that whole plot point together, right? The music is doing the storytelling, and it's showing that like how much of a triumphant moment it is. And
Absolutely.
I've seen other people like mention that kind of like jokingly that it's kind of like Syx is going like, wait, why do I hear boss music? Because he, you know,
Yeah.
the boss
A little
in
bit.
that situation is kind of like it's Shion and Roxas and even
You can
Sora,
feel
you
the
know.
energy.
Yeah, it's because usually for boss themes you hear like the music reflect on the boss, right?
Mhm.
But all the music material on Hearts as One is from the people you are playing as, Roxas, Shion, and Sora. So it's like it's kind of a subversion of what a boss theme is, right? It's triumphant
Mhm.
and it's not like intimidating because like that the point of that moment is to be triumphant and not like tense. You know, I think that the
Yeah.
tension is everything that comes
100%.
before that, and then that one's like,
Absolutely. Like,
okay, now we kick ass.
and then that boss, like, if you're playing in critical mode, fun tip. It's like if you're playing a Sora in the game, like Roxas murders them. You don't have to do
Yeah,
anything, and that's
basically,
like
like no
very
matter
by
what.
design. It's very much a victory moment, even though you're still fighting.
Mm-hmm. I think I've seen that moment described as like a spectacle fight, which is
Mhm.
kind of a thing that I don't really know many other examples on it, but like it's when a boss fight is mostly cinematic then and not
Yeah.
really like meant to be hard. It's just meant
Yeah.
to like
No.
Look really cool.
It's like the
So you
payoff
can
is the
just,
boss battle rather than finishing the boss. Beating the boss
yeah.
isn't the payoff necessarily.
So you can just watch Roxas kick ass and Shion like heal. It's like cool.
Yeah, basically. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Um, and I guess you also talked a little bit about when I asked the question, you mentioned the Remind version. And I kind of want to ask, like, I don't know if you really want to go too much into that, but why exactly that version? What about that really do you think makes it like so good? Or I don't know, like, what about it do you think is notable, like worth talking about?
But when you're fighting Shion in the data stuff,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, to be brutally honest, that's the one I had the most difficult with, so I probably heard it the most. So like, maybe there's like Stockholm syndrome with it to an extent, but I mean, not really. It's like it's very much. It's just a really strong piece, and it's kind of I don't know. It's a really really hard fight. I struggled with it the most personally. I'm by no means an expert Kingdom Hearts player. Don't ask me to do a challenge run or anything because I could never. Um, but I don't know. It's just a really really powerful version of the song, and I just my favorite thing, and I talk about this in the video, is how they twist the different pieces of Kingdom Hearts to new versions of it. Like the easiest example
Hmm.
is Dearly Beloved, and how that one has literally a different version in basically every game, to my knowledge. I don't know if it ever repeats. I don't think it does. Um, and it's just very very fun, and like you said, talking about how the music is telling the story as well, and then it's just kind of it gives you all the feelings. I think in the case of like the data fights, it just kind of like distills all the emotions of this character you're fighting into that one piece of music. So it's kind of like
Hmm.
there's your kind of not I don't want to say definitive because everyone has their favorite version, but it feels like the definitive version of Shion's like battle theme. I want to say same
Ooh,
thing where it
that's
goes with like
interesting.
Xehanort or Luxord or Larxene, you know, whoever because it's not really because those data battles aren't really telling a story necessarily. They're just challenge boss fights for people who are at level 99 and
Hmm.
are amazing at the game and who's not me. So it's just kind of like I don't know. It just works. It's very good payoff music, I guess, if that makes
Right.
sense.
I agree. I really, really agree that the music for the Remind Limit Cut bosses in general were
Mm.
very good musical payoff. They're not necessarily narrative payoff, but musically, they do like recall a lot of elements of previous versions. Like for
Mm.
Xian's theme, yeah, like we've seen. Xian's theme is probably one of the tracks that officially gets the most rearrangement,
Yeah, a
either
lot.
in game or outside of the game, and every time it sounds like really different.
Mm.
Because like we have the original Xian's theme, and then we have Vectors de Heavens, and then we had the Piano Collections version of Musique pour la Tristesse de Xian, which I never know how to pronounce, but in that version
That's why I
already
just go
brings,
Shion's theme.
yeah. Well, that arrangement specifically brings elements of both Xian's theme and Vector, and that's I think the first time that we kind of see those two themes really bleed into each other and blend together. And that's going to be kind of a theme on arrangements of it going forth. Like then we have the orchestra version from the Memorial album, which is the one you used at the end of your video, which also does the thing where it starts like quieter with Shion's theme, and then it transitions into Vector to the Heavens. And I feel like that's also an element that it kind of borrows from arrangements of the other Promise that kind of did this also in orchestra albums.
Yeah, it is kind of, absolutely.
Because they also did the thing where like, oh, it starts with Roxas's theme and then it transitions into the other Promise and then it goes back to Roxas's theme and ends. You know, it's a very kind of intuitive kind of direction for the composition to go in, where like it has a climax and then it falls.
Yeah, they're very simple melodies too, and that's not a criticism, but because they're very easy. Like you hear like 3 notes from Shion's theme, you're like, okay, that's Shion's theme. You hear 3 notes from Sora's, you're like, okay, that's Sora's. It has that really easy it's so recognizable for a lot of players, I think, so where they can easily twist it into different ways. And like I think another example of that is with Enter the Darkness, which is Vanitas' theme, and then Sora's theme shows up in the middle of that, and you're like, oh, okay. And if you're really paying attention to that, you kind of realize there's a lot of it makes a lot of narrative sense why that would show up there. I think it just really helps that they're so recognizable that they can really do kind of wild things with it.
Yeah, Vanitas' theme is very interesting because I don't know if you well I guess you do mention Takeharu Ishimoto in your Cage 3 video.
I do,
but
yes.
Or not the Cage 3 video, but the music video that you just posted.
Yes, it is Ishimoto.
Yeah, and Ishimoto is the one who composed the Enter the Darkness as well. And that was his first like actual composition for the Kingdom Hearts series. He had like kind of worked in Cage 2, but like as a synthesizer operator, so he didn't really do any composing or arranging.
Right.
So Vanitas' theme was like his first real role. Yeah, and it's kind of like it is controversial. Because Ishimoto is controversial as a composer in the Kingdom Hearts series, but I do think there's some credit to be had when it comes to Vanitas' theme, because I think he completed the exercise that he was given, which was create a character theme for this character who has connections to both Ventus and Sora, you know.
Yeah. I personally kind of love it because it sounds so different, which I guess is by design. Like the intro to that one is so weird for Kingdom Hearts. The intro to it is so odd, I think, compared to a lot of other Kingdom Hearts music. And I mean that in a good way. I personally enjoy it.
I've heard a lot of people say that too, that it's kind of like, what is this noise? But like I think it works for Vanitas specifically.
Very, like the armies riding their horses towards you and they're in the distance heading your way. It's like that's what it makes me think of.
Yeah. And it's very different, I guess, because well, I think the choice for Vanitas' theme to be composed by Ishimoto was a very deliberate one, because like then like Shimomura had to be like, sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Shimomura had the direction to compose Ventus' theme, right? And when you think about it, Ven's theme, from a direction standpoint, is very similar to Vanitas' theme. Ventus is a character who has relationships to Sora and Roxas, right? Yeah. And Vanitas is a character who has relationships to Sora and Ventus. And Ventus, when it like musically, has like relations to Roxas and Sora. So like it's pretty much they have the same musical material. So if Shimomura were to arrange the character themes for both of them, they might have ended up sounding a little bit too similar, you know? Because she's using, like, she would have to arrange this, like, 2 songs with the exact same kind of direction. Yo, Stair, thanks for the follow. Welcome to Sound Ideas, gang. Yeah. So I think it was a very interesting choice to use Ishimoto there. And I think it was the only real track... No, never mind. Ishimoto composed Enter the Darkness and, like, all the Vanitas themes for Birth by Sleep. So the Enter the Darkness, Unbreakable Chains. Yeah. And and he also composed the Vanitas Remnant fight, which was Enter the Void.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
And that one, I really like that theme. But I don't understand what he was going for with it.
I have to go listen to it again. I wish I could speak to it, but I have to go listen to it again, honestly.
Oh yeah, no worry. Oh, let me just respond to chat real fast. Sorry, Keyblade Spy Master. The alert. I don't know if I read it wrong or if it cut your name out, but I just read stare. But yeah, thanks for the follow. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, not a whole lot of tracks from Ishimoto, but when it comes to the Vanitas ones, it's funny because Enter the Darkness and Enter the Void both like are very similar. They use like Vanitas' theme and Sora's theme and Ven's theme, and then Enter the Void just has like, it's completely original. It doesn't really call back anything from Sora or Roxas or Ventus, so it's kind of like, I don't know if it was really meant to be used as a Vanitas kind of like centric theme. I don't know. It just it feels a little out of place.
Maybe, like I said, I would have to go listen to it again. But
Right.
maybe it was like an early version of his theme. Maybe I decided to reformat it for that. Speculation, obviously.
I feel like it might have been like just a boss theme that he wanted like to use for something else, but I don't know, and then it ended up being reused for that. It's just very interesting because I do think like, and I'm sorry for like talking about this song that you probably don't you can't really remember it right now. I swear I'll move on from this in a second, but I feel like it kind of fits the environment of like the Keyblade Graveyard, but it doesn't fit the character that you're fighting very well. So it's a little curious. But let me go back a little to the limit cut track that we were talking about. I also, yeah, like there's, I think my stream died for a second. Sorry guys, I hope it didn't lose too much. Okay, let me just make sure it's working.
No worries.
Okay, I think it's working because no one's really saying anything. But yeah, I also think that there's a lot of musical payoff in general with most of the data themes, especially when it comes to like, oh, they're saying it's a little crunchy. I wonder why. Well, I'm just gonna keep talking because I don't want to sit around and just, yeah.
Technology's fun.
Yeah, I sometimes things just happen, but I hope it's not too bad. But either way, like I just feel like there's. I keep forgetting what I'm gonna say about this. There's a lot of musical payoff, but when it comes just especially to like Xemna's and Ensem's themes, Lark Scene, even like Zigbar and Luxord, I feel like there's some payoff there. Like for example, Xemnas' theme in Remind, in Limit Cut, it's Oscurità del Ignoto, which is his theme from DDD, right? Dream Drop Distance, which is on its own like an evolution of the Darkness of the Unknown. So I feel like it was very interesting how they brought that theme back from Dream Drop Distance, especially since in Cage 3's base game, when you fight Xemnas with young Xehanort and Ansem, they just bring back Darkness of the Unknown for that medley of all their themes, right? But they don't really call back to the Dream Drop theme. And they do the same thing with young Xehanort in Ansem as well. And Ansem was a really like surprising to me because no one really thinks about Ansem's Dream Drop boss music. But it has like this really kind of interesting original material that it brought that wasn't in any of his previous fight themes, like Guardano no Buyo from Cage 1 and stuff. So it's just so cool like how they managed to bring those materials back, you know, from those previous games and develop them.
Make it feel fresh after all these years too.
Yeah, exactly. One that I think is really cool and that no one really talks about is Lark Scenes. Lark Scenes is such a cool musical payoff because it's the 13th struggle, right? And we have two arrangements of the 13th struggle for Limit Cut. One is hers and one is Luxord's. And Lark Scenes, so Limit Cut, every song was arranged by like different arrangers. So not everything was done. Like I don't think Shimomura worked on any of the Limit Cut songs, except for like Nachtflugel. But we had like a lot of people coming back who were arrangers for other things. So Lark Scene's arranger was Natsumi Kamioka, who also arranged some stuff for some of the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra albums, like Dramatica. I don't know if you've heard the Dramatica album, but there's this really really good piece called the 13th Anthology, which is like a medley of a bunch of Organization 13 songs. And part of that medley is like an arrangement of the 13th struggle. And I thought it was really cool because that arrangement, the 13th Anthology, was made like all the way back in like 2007 or 2006. So it's very, very old. And the Remind arrangement for 13th Struggle is like an obvious like callback. It's arranged by the same person. It's also arranged by Natsumi Kamioka, and it like very, very clearly it takes direct inspiration from that segment of the 13th Struggle, from the 13th Anthology. So like I really enjoy when the Kingdom Hearts music and the Kingdom Hearts series has like this kind of musical callback to things that happened both in the games and outside of the games musically. It's just really, really cool to me. I'm sorry if I rambled a little too much there.
Oh no, please.
But
Please.
I just love talking about that kind of stuff when it comes to it coming full circle, right, musically. And this whole conversation started because you talked about the Vector, the Remind Vector, and it also being kind of like this definitive like version of her theme to you, which I definitely understand, and I definitely think is the case for most of the Limit Cut music. So I'm sorry, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Oh no, you're all good. I agree. It all just works really well. I actually wasn't aware that every single one was a different arranger for them in the Limit Cut. I did not realize that, which is really, really cool to hear.
Well, some of them like have like I think Young Xehanort and Young Xehanort, Luxord, and Zigbars are all by the same person. Or no, I think I got that wrong. Like some of them like worked on 2 of the songs or something. But they're mostly by different people.
I love that actually. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's so cool because it brings like this musical diversity to the thing, and it like you can tell that the musical production quality of Remind went all into those 13 tracks. Like, and it's so good. It's definitely the highest quality the soundtrack has ever been in a Kingdom Hearts game. Just those 13 tracks like could be like, I don't know, a super high production album on its own. I feel like like the budget just went totally there, and it was the right call.
I want to say they all get its own disc and like the CD release they did for 3. I want to say that all the data fights are on their own CD. I could be wrong.
Most of them are. There's one funny exception, which is the Riku data fight, which is on an earlier disc, because it's actually the music for the Riku data fight is an extended version of a track that plays in a cutscene earlier in the game, which is when...
Is that with like the giant Xehanort shadow?
Yeah, exactly.
That part? Okay.
So they took that arrangement of Farza del Mali and like and just expanded it a little bit and made it loop, which I think was really good because it is such a good like version of the theme that definitely deserved to get like you know, a full length
really intense version of it.
Yeah, definitely the right call, but it is kind of funny to see it like be the only one that's not in that one album, like the one CD with all the other data fights. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go back a little bit earlier to you were talking about Winnie the Pooh and how passionate you were, like how important that was to your childhood, and you picked that one as the feud theme for the question that I asked. And I kind of want to ask you, like, I guess It's kind of a random question, but what do you think about the music for the Winnie the Pooh world in general, like in all of the games? Because that's something a lot of people don't really talk about. How
Mhm.
the field theme for that world is just like, you know, the Winnie the Pooh theme song,
Yeah,
but instrumental.
it's so iconic though. It's like sometimes I'm like, how what else would you use? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
like for like in of course the battle theme in the Pirates of the Caribbean World Kingdom Hearts 2 is going to be the He's a Pirate thing that Klaus Badlet and Hans Zimmer did for the movie. It's like sometimes there's like such strong pieces of music that just transcends the Disney movie, and I feel
Hmm.
like everyone knows the Winnie the Pooh song because the Sherman Brothers always wrote everything they wrote was an earworm basically. And so I'm it's I don't know what else you would put in there for Winnie the Pooh other than that iconic kind of theme.
I
What was
have
the
a
question exactly?
very
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just asking like, what do you think about how like about the versions of those themes and like even the original stuff like Bounce-O-Rama and like the mini game music for
Hmm.
the Winnie the Pooh world. Like, how do you think of that? Like, what do you think about it in general? Like, how maybe like how does it compare to other Winnie the Pooh video games and how they use like how they make the music for those the
It's
settings? You know.
it's really funky because Winnie the Pooh does not outside of like the original Disney featurettes, and there's also the TV show they had in the late 80s 90s. What was it the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh? Those are kind of like the only big touchstones I think for Winnie the Pooh musically because they kind of hit it out of the park initially, and those things stuck around so long. They don't use anything else. Like I actually I've done 2 videos on my YouTube channel on Winnie the Pooh video games, where I've talked about 6 different games that were released on consoles, and the like I'd argue like there's one game called Tigger's Honey Hunt that was like a side scroller game for PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, and PC, if I remember correctly. And that one has music. It's fine. Like the music, I can't remember who the composers are. I think it has like a bevy of composers on that game.
Hmm.
Um, it just kind of echoes that kind of pastoral kind of you're in the woods. It's kind of like what they lean on, that idea of like you're in the woods and you're playing a game. It's not like the music's fine. I don't have any problem with it. I'm not really criticizing it. It's just kind of funny because like a lot of them, if they're not going to use the original music for Winnie the Pooh, be it like the Winnie the Pooh theme or Climbing the Honey Tree or anything from like the Tigger movie, actually had new Sherman Brothers music written for that, which was pretty significant. And that was like back in 1999, 2000, I want to say. Otherwise, other games for Winnie the Pooh outside of Kingdom Hearts really just uses like ambient wind blowing. It's really weird. It uses really
Wow.
short loops in other games. It's not it's like this isn't a criticism per se because it sounds nice. But there's a PS2 GameCube game called Piglet's Big Game which came out in I want to say 03, 04. And that's just like uses 30-second loops in like a bunch of wind blowing, and it sounds fine. It has like little like kind of like it's more I guess it's the word I should be using. It's more atmospheric. It's not really
Hmm.
like a musical score. It's more just like situational, like you're in a scary room with an evil heffalump, and so it's kind of like a bouncy, like stomping kind of beat to it. So I guess it's hard. It's sometimes, and maybe it's not a good thing that the Winnie the Pooh franchise is so trapped by these songs in a way. But like those things are so notable that I totally get why they're like we're just gonna do the Winnie the Pooh theme for Kingdom Hearts. It works.
Hmm.
And then you get things like Bounce-O-Rama, which I think works well too, because it's an easy little simple mini game theme, but also echoes on Tigger pretty easily because he's a bouncy character, so the music's bouncy. I mean, it's very surface level observation on it, but it
No,
works, I
actually,
think.
I feel like that's a perfect kind of observation to have. Actually, like despite how obvious it is, I never really stopped to think about Balsarama being called that because Tigger is bouncy, which is kind of
Yeah,
crazy because it seems like such an obvious thing now that I think about it.
but that's him. That's the character.
Yes, it's Tigger's theme in Kingdom Hearts. Um, but
Oh, by
yeah,
the way, yes, I see. Hey, Barty in the chat. Yes, the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh theme song is so damn good. When I first got Disney Plus, I watched through that show. It holds up. It's not just a little kid show. I will defend that. It's a great show.
You know, I've never like when I was really young, I was very much into Winnie the Pooh, but I think I was a little bit too young because, and this is gonna
Mhm.
be probably my most embarrassing musical confession in ever. But like, when I played Kingdom Hearts and I heard like the Winnie the Pooh song, I did not know that it was like the Winnie the Pooh song. I thought it was like original field music made for the Winnie the Pooh world, and it took
sounds
me.
good. So.
It's just like I don't know how I didn't really know that like in my head that Winnie the Pooh had like a theme song.
Yeah, well,
but
in your defense,
I
you
can't
didn't
unhear
grow
it
up
now.
with it. Yeah, if you
The
didn't
thing
grow
is,
up with it, so if you
I
don't
did grow
it's...
up with it, which is crazy because I would watch it like as a young kid, and I remember renting a bunch of Winnie the Pooh DVD movies and stuff, and I liked it a lot. I loved the characters and stuff, especially Tigger. But for some reason, the music did not stick with me as a kid. I guess I did not pay attention to music in general until I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, it is on Disney Plus. By the way, I see the chat message. Sorry, it is on Disney Plus.
Another thing that I thought was interesting that you mentioned these other games doing like using this wind blowing loop right instead. I think that's really cool because in something that's very understated when it comes to music is using like silence or like sounds to set a mood, you know. And
those games are really effective at that, I'd argue. Surprisingly, when you hear Winnie the Pooh game, you're like, oh yeah, whatever. But like, and I talk about this in a video, talking about that Piglet game is a baby's first horror game. It really, like, I actually would call like completely seriously, and so like it uses ambient sound kind of like a horror game. It sounds insane, but it's the Winnie the Pooh version of like you hear a stomping of a heffalump or what they call an elephant in Winnie the Pooh, and that scared me as a kid. For example, like it freaks me out. So it's weird, but it works. I don't know, it's hard to describe sometimes.
Let me just read this. Oh, no, I think Hey Barty People is... Never mind. Hey Barty People is making a joke in the chat about me having written a dissertation about like Kingdom Hearts music, and then it's like, oh, but Child Kino like does not have perception of what music is.
Yeah, it's like when you're little, you're not thinking about, like I said, like you're not thinking about these things. Like when I played in it's September 2002, and I'm like 6, 7 years old. I'm just saying that's a fun song. Like I'm not thinking about how that operates, because like good music operates on a storytelling level without people even realizing it. I would say that's what the sign of it working really well. It's like video editing. When you're editing a video or movie or show, if people don't notice when you cut the video, that means you're doing your job right. And I think when it comes to the music, if you're picking up what the music's putting down without even inherently like really noticing it, like singling it out, it's doing its job really well.
Sorry, I got a little distracted because my dad's talking outside the door.
No worries.
But yeah. Let me just... Actually, can you give me 1 minute? I'll be right back.
Sure. For sure.
Sorry, we are back. Just had anyway, yeah, it's very interesting hearing all these impressions about, like, I don't know, like how I wouldn't really think about even talking about the 100 Acre Wood music in this episode, you know, like that's not something I expected to be delving into, but just like talking about that on its own brings all these different these different elements that we can talk about, like the way silence can be used, the way atmosphere is effective in music, all like even comparing the way that and why like the Winnie the Pooh song is what they always use and recycle as musical material for Kingdom Hearts. There's a lot to delve into every little like aspect of Kingdom Hearts' music, right? Which is why I think it's like a never-ending source of discussion. Pretty much, like a lot of people like are When I tell them that I have a Kingdom Hearts podcast, they're like, okay, but like, what do you talk about? Like, how the heck
Like,
can you
there's
have?
so much to talk about, right?
Exactly. There's like it never ends because you can just keep going deeper and deeper, and there's like you can talk about the songs in the games, the songs outside the games. You can compare the soundtrack to other games soundtracks. You know, you can compare it to Disney soundtracks. It's just like I don't know. I feel like it's the perfect subject to talk about for hours,
It's
basically.
a very easy rabbit hole to go down.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
As
Listen,
Winnie the
like
Pooh
my
would say
video is
it.
30 minutes long, which is pretty long, I think, for a lot of YouTube content, depending. And
Hmm.
that was me being as restrained as I possibly could, because I was like, this could be like 2 hours long if I didn't like really like watch myself when I was writing the script for it. Because, well, first of all, one, I was like, I can't work on a feature length video, not right now. That takes so much energy. But it's just like it's
Hmm.
so easy to just kind of go on and on and on and on and on about it
Yeah,
easily.
like I made this a while ago, this video essay about Roxas' theme, um
Hmm.
and I didn't expect it. Like I thought it was gonna be like relatively short, like maybe 20 minutes long, um and it ended up being like very long. It ended up being like 40 minutes long or something.
It's how it
um
goes. That's just how it goes with YouTube, with just making
yeah,
video content.
and
It's
it's like
always going to be longer than you expect. You're like, this is going to be a fun 15-minute thing, and then it's like 45 minutes long. You're like, oh shit.
it's
It's just what
so,
happens.
yeah, it's so insane. Like you can be talking about one single piece of music, and you end up talking about it for 40 minutes. It's
Absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
crazy. I
If
want
you,
to ask you. Oh, sorry. Go on.
oh no, sorry. You're fine. You go ahead.
I was gonna ask you if you played Melody of Memory, the Kingdom Hearts rhythm
I
game.
have played Melody of Memory. I've wanted a rhythm game for Kingdom Hearts for over a decade, especially when they started doing the rhythm games on DS.
Oh yeah,
And
for
then we
sure.
finally got it. So I'm just like, I was like, this is the best thing ever. I'm so happy. People are like, oh, rhythm games. I'm like, it's not for you. It's for me. I love Melody of Memory. I recently got it on PC, so I'm excited to try the mods people have been doing out for it
Oh
because
man,
there
I
is some stuff
wish.
I've seen.
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could play Melody of Memory on PC just for the mods. Unfortunately, my PC is
Mm,
not the greatest when it comes to running video games. So I'll just have to
right.
wait until the future for that. But I do
At that
have
point, it'll
Melody
be
of
really cheap.
Memory.
So hey, it works out.
Yeah,
It'll
I
be
hope
really
so.
cheap eventually. So
I
I
do
waiting
have it
for a
on
sale.
PS4 and on Switch, which
Same.
I don't know why I paid full price for this game twice, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
Kind
I
of.
bought I did the pre-order digital on PS4 so I could play it right when it came out. I got the
Mm,
Switch version like around the holidays on sale because I wanted to play it, be able to play it portably, and also get the track that you get in Super Smash Brothers if you have Melody of Memory on your Switch.
yeah.
And then I got it on PC because I'm currently playing through the entire Kingdom Hearts series on stream, and it was an excuse to get them for PC. So I'll be getting to that eventually on stream.
Woohoo, cool. So, well, since you have played Melody of Memory, I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite stage in Melody of Memory you play?
Favorite one to play? I can't believe they didn't include the Winnie the Pooh songs. First of all,
Yeah, for
eh,
sure.
uh, favorite one to play. I mean, I guess maybe it's an easy answer, but I do like going and playing the simple and clean Sanctuary in the
Cool.
orchestrated versions. I think I talked about this in the video too, but I love playing like the more grand sounding. I don't know.
Right,
I'm
the
a sucker
orchestra
for
stuff.
an orchestral version of literally anything. Add strings to a song, and I'm like, this is a masterpiece, which is not. So like any of those tracks that show up in Melody Memory are kind of easy for me to replay because then I can hear them in my headphones or on the TV or whatever. Not the most exciting answer, but like again, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. I was honestly like when Melody of Memory was on its advertising phase and like about to come out, I was really excited to
Mm-hmm.
see like what tracks they were gonna include, and then I saw like that they announced they had like a list of a few of the songs they started like putting in the website like little bit by little bit,
Yeah.
and when they announced that they were gonna have the orchestral version of the study, I lost my
Yes.
shit because I was like, oh my god, this means there's gonna be music from the orchestra tour. Like there's gonna be
So
like all
good.
these different versions, and then I was very disappointed that it was the only orchestral like
I
track
know, yeah.
from the orchestras there. But I was
They
very
need the DLC
surprised.
for it. Oh,
Yeah, they do
needs
need to make
DLC.
DLC. I would pay like a I don't know whatever they
It's like
ask
the
me.
only modern rhythm game that I feel like that doesn't have DLC. Those rhythm games get like
Yeah,
nickel and dime to hell with DLC, and yet Melody Memory has nothing. Make it make sense.
yeah. Thankfully, we have the Melody of Memory modding community doing that for us.
Hmm.
Lyman and KH. Wait,
Yeah.
what was it? Water KH. They
I
just
mean, they
do,
have
and
the Kim
everyone
Possible
else.
theme. They have the Kim Possible theme in Melody of Memory. It's like this is ours.
Yeah.
So great.
Lyman actually made a custom chart for one of my from my cover of Vector to the Heavens, which just it ended up so good. I used his chart as like the video for when I
Mhm.
posted it on my channel too, and it's like it's so good, it's so good. Lyman is a blessing for our community. Shout out to
Mhm.
Lyman. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, there's something I forgot to mention in the very beginning of the podcast.
Mhm.
So this is part of the chat, but if you're already in it, full. But I want to just announce that I have as per the request of a few of the viewers, I have started a Sound Ideas Discord server, which actually already existed for quite a bit. It's where I always put the guests to record the episodes in. But now I'm gonna start opening it to the public. So if the chat wants to join the Sound Ideas Discord server, it is on the social medias. Links in the under the stream in the description. I don't really know how Twitch works, but it should be down there somewhere. And the Discord server is gonna be where we can discuss. Well, I don't know what you can like. Request me to talk about something in the episode. You can send me a cover or a track to talk about. Generally, it's just like where we can hang out and talk about Kingdom Hearts music outside of the podcast, and then I can like gather material and comments and general conversation and discourse from that server and bring it to the show when we do it on the Sundays. So yeah, if anyone's interested on being part of this conversation and this discussion, Sound Ideas is now open, and I'm very, very excited to see what's gonna come out of this server. So yeah, that's that's a little segment there that where I advertise the Discord, and I don't really know what else I have planned to talk about today. So I don't know, Paul. Do you have anything else you
Ask
want to
me
say?
anything about Kingdom Hearts, and I'll give my hot take right now. I'm joking. No, no, I just really hope. I will say with these Kingdom Hearts essays that I'm doing on my YouTube channel, I just really hope that people, first of all, watch them and enjoy them. Like, comment, subscribe. Bleh. But my whole goal with these essays, and I have 2 more planned for this year, hopefully, if I can make it happen. That to get people to look at Kingdom Hearts and just kind of games in general, because a lot of video game criticism, it's still in its infant stage. I feel like a lot of times there's some amazing stuff out there discussing themes and music and character in video games. But my ultimate goal with these things is just to get people to look at Kingdom Hearts on a more analytical on a more analytical level if they want to. Obviously, you don't have to. No one's required to look deeper and analyze what they're playing. It's not a requirement, obviously, but it just kind of takes something that's very much has a broader reputation of being this really weird niche franchise, and like a lot of people don't get it, which is also fine. But just to like look at it and see like what's being done here and what work is being done here that kind of transcends criticism of it. Like, see, like the previous video I did was about the characters and like the emotional storytelling, because I think that's something Kingdom Hearts does remarkably well for the most part. And just kind of say like, here's what it's doing, recognize what it's trying to do, and like, let's just actually appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I'm the first one to criticize Kingdom Hearts. There's plenty of things you can complain about with Kingdom Hearts. It's totally valid, but what it does well, it does really, really, really well, and that being the characters, the emotional storytelling, the music, and future topics that I'll talk about later because I still haven't decided exactly what they're going to be, but they're coming.
Right.
It's just encourage
I
them. Sorry.
totally. Oh, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No worries.
I was gonna say
I was
that
just repeating myself.
I totally understand the like this thing about like wanting to get people thinking about these different aspects of the games that like and try to like I don't know pay attention to the little nuances that are there and that maybe you know that kind of stuff. I really appreciate and understand that sentiment, and it's kind of what made me want to start this Sound Ideas podcast. Because as I told before, like there's so much that can be talked about. There's so much that we can go into, and so much that can come from these conversations, right? That usually people don't really even consider that they can be a part of, right? A lot of people are scared to be on Sound Ideas when I ask them because they're like, oh, but I don't have any musical knowledge because I don't really know what I'm gonna talk about, and like I feel like the point is getting everyone to talk about it because I want to hear like even if, sure if you're not like well versed in music theory or if you don't play an instrument or whatever, like I just kind of want to know what Kingdom Hearts music is to everyone, and
Yeah.
because like I feel like that's part of my story too, even if not directly. I think that everyone's experience with this thing is kind of intertwined, and that may be a little bit of an extreme thought to have, but I definitely believe it. I definitely believe that everyone is kind of like part of each other's journey when it comes to appreciating this thing together. I really enjoy this kind of fandom aspect of it, it's something that I'm very fascinated, like how people come together to celebrate and talk about and create art and video essays and music all around this thing that already exists. So it's like, I don't know, it's so cool, and I just want people to talk about these things and think about them, even if they are kind of intimidated by the thought of doing that.
Yeah, well, it's like music's such a universal thing, and I think video game music's always been good. But I feel like if you go up to a random person and it's like, "Oh, video game music," and they go, "Oh yeah, the beeps and boops from Pac-Man and Pong," or like
Yep.
Mario, maybe at most Mario, but like, I mean, they're still doing interesting stuff earlier on in video games. But I think especially nowadays, there's some seriously incredible stuff happening with video game music. Again, like I mentioned in the video, that the Grammys officially have a category for video game score, which is kind of incredible. I mean, we can talk about award shows and Grammys and that they don't matter, blah, blah, blah. But the mainstream recognition, no matter how people feel about it, I think it still is significant. And so it just gives credit to like such amazing work that's being done by Yoko Shimomura with Kingdom Hearts. The stuff done for Final Fantasy VII Remake I thought was incredible. I could go on about how that's twisted old themes and old music from the original Final Fantasy VII to something new with the remake. The remake soundtrack's phenomenal, in my opinion. And like there's just like, and even like the really big AAA games, like I also mentioned the score for the God of War 2018 by Bear McCreary is so good. And I know there can be criticisms lobbed at games trying to be movies or whatever. I won't even get into that whole rabbit hole of discussion. But like being able to bring those kind of extremely beautiful cinematic qualities to an interactive piece of media is so difficult and so interesting, and there's just really cool things I think happen with video game music now. So it's very much worth talking about. Even like again, like I said, I'm not a music theory person. My expertise comes from talking about the function of music, be it in like the movie Up, or be it when we talk about how these things apply to Kingdom Hearts, and that can just boil down to, I mean, very surface level. It's like the music, the piano is playing slowly. That must mean it's sad. That's like the most basic way of explaining that, obviously. But
Yeah.
there's so
But
much
it works.
nuance. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The reason it works is because it's so simple and it conveys that in a beautiful way, and it can convey things that are just. At the same time can convey emotions that you can't even describe. Like I keep using examples for my video because it's very fresh in my mind, obviously. But I discussed the married life montage from Up, Pixar's movie Up, which a lot of people know. Spoiler alert: it goes through the main character Carl as he ages with Ellie, his wife, and it goes through their whole married life, hence the name. There's a sequence where they discover they're not able to have children. And there's a scene right after it where it's just Ellie sitting on a bench outside of their house, just sitting there with her eyes closed. But when you see her, it's hard to tell what she's feeling because it could be a various amount of things, be it sadness, acceptance, grief. It could be, it's like a mix of all those emotions. And the music that Michael Giacchino, who did the score for Up, has to convey it's like an impossible task to like convey what's on screen. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't know. It's just like the music's able to convey emotions I feel like I can't even describe. If you know what I mean, it
Yeah.
just really it brings it all together in a beautiful way. And then hey, he won an Oscar for it, and I think it's just it works so well, especially in that case.
I totally agree. Music is I feel like it's kind of cliche to say that, but music is a language, right? Um,
No, it is, yeah.
and it's pretty much a universal one at that. Like it can also just mean anything. Like one piece of music can mean something to someone and mean something completely different to someone as well. And I think that's the beauty of it, that it's a language that can be interpreted however you want, right? It
Mhm.
can mean whatever you want. It can be whatever you want.
Absolutely.
So that makes it like, I don't know, to me it just makes it that much more powerful. So I want to thank you a lot for having had this whole conversation with me. It was
Of
super fun.
course. Thank
And
you for having
before,
me.
no, of course, before we close it off though, I want to ask one final question. What does Kingdom Hearts music mean to you?
Well, there's a 30-minute video. I don't know. It just
Wow.
in maybe I mean truthfully that is, but um, what it means to me is just that it's hard to put in a few sentences. Um, it's just emblematic, I think, of just a very special place for me, special memory of my childhood of playing those games. Like my memory of Kingdom Hearts is tied a lot to the music, like playing that game as a kid. I remember the music as being like the music on Destiny Islands, the Traverse Town music. Like that's the music is very key to my memory of that game. So I think what it means to me is just kind of helps me remember. It just reminds me of childhood and just kind of simpler times. Not criticizing today, obviously, but when you grow up, things get more complicated. But it helps recall me. It's nostalgia in a healthy way for me, and that it helps me remember my childhood and just kind of the stories I grew up on, be it from video games or be it from Disney movies, whatever.
Perfect. That was a beautiful answer, actually.
Thank you.
And I
Sometimes
think
I
it's
worry it's
very.
just word vomit from me.
Oh no, you know what? Word vomit is valid. Word vomit is what this podcast is all about. You know, I'm gonna rename it Word Vomit. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much, Paul. I'm very happy that you agreed to participate.
Thank you
But
for having me.
no, yeah, of course, of course. But I think it's about time we close it up. I want to just ask if chat wants to ask anything before we close it off. And yeah, I just want to remind everyone again that the Discord is open for anyone who wants to join. So far, I am not a Twitch affiliate, so I can't get subs or donations through here. But if anyone would like, for any reason, to support me and my content, my Ko-Fi is always open, and I really heavily appreciate any kind of support. I would like to direct everyone to check out Fo's YouTube channel, and he also streams on Twitch. And fantastic person, fantastic friendly person, as you guys probably noticed from seeing him talk with us today. Yeah, I totally would like you guys to check out all of his content, all of his stuff, and support him however you can, however you want. But yeah, on that note, I think we are going to close off here. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.